Everybody but Hunter.
Okay, call the meeting to order at 7:02. Present, myself, Chris, Adele, Phil, David, Christine, and Carrie. So it looks like we have a full board. So, Adele, you're
I'll just sit and watch.
okay. Thank
Try
you.
and keep my mouth shut, okay?
No, you don't have to do that, but, where's Chris?
I'm here.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
We're gonna start with capital. I think the chief's got somewhere to be. Can you see it?
I can see it.
Here we go.
So do you want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So we put into capital put in a capital request for the replacement of engine 5, which, as you can see, the request is for $125,000 to be put into capital for the future every year up into 25-26 budget year. I'd like to see that get funded because year 25-26 to purchase an engine, that money's, if it is funded and it keeps being funded every year, opens up all options for the best way to fund that engine. In other words, it opens up the door for to pay up front a whole 100%. It also opens up to front the money for a lease purchase. It opens up the door to purchase in full a demo unit that could be a year or two old from a reputable apparatus manufacturer. And it also opens up the door to finance the engine 100%, which might include fronting a portion of money first to secure the financing. Any questions?
What's a brand new engine cost? Right.
We got a price of, I don't have my paperwork in front of me. I think it was $570 if we were to buy an engine this year. Now, adding on to that, every year there is a percentage of increase from 3 to 3.5% every year.
This is, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I
Okay.
can hear you.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a $200,000 less than what the last fire chief said. He said 750,000, I think. No? Or 725?
That was for a tanker.
Oh,
This is for engine 5 replacement. That's
I
the only thing. That's the only thing this year in capital that we're requesting.
I see. Can I ask you, it's kind of part of the same thing just because of the money situation. On our budget that we got last week, there was I think it was for ambulance of 294 or 296,000. Is that correct, Tom?
Oh, are we talking about the capital non-recurring?
No, this is, well,
Oh, yeah, we're on capital non-recurring right now.
does anybody have any questions on this?
Capital will address it.
I have a question. I don't know a lot about fire engines, and I see engine number 3 and engine number 5. Basically, what are the bells and whistles on one of those things as compared to, you mentioned the tanker before. What, can you just briefly, how many gallons of water does it hold? And is it a house operating apparatus? Just give me the bells and whistles on it.
The bells and whistles, engine 5 is a pumper, okay?
Okay.
It carries 1,000 gallons of water, as opposed to the tanker, which carries 25 to 3,000 gallons of water on it.
Okay.
You refer to bells and whistles.
I mean, are they 1.5-inch lines, 2.5-inch lines coming off these things, or is it just a general
2.5
apparatus? Or
inch and a half, or inch and 3/4, 2.5, 3-inch, 5-inch.
so it sounds like it's kind of a universal type machine that can do many functions.
Which one? You're talking about two different.
Engine 5.
Okay. Yes.
Is the goal still here, Chief, to reduce the fleet size?
Right now, we don't need to replace engine 1. If we were not to replace an engine or a piece of apparatus, that would be it. We would reduce the frontline apparatus by 1.
Any other questions for the chief on the fire equipment requested for the proposal year 20 to 21?
No.
So your expected cost in 25, 26 is going to be 750,000.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, in saying that there is different payment options. But what this does, if we fund this, it opens up all doors to be able to do the best option for the town of Morris.
When you say options, you mean like lease to purchase or financing or any of those that are on the table?
Right. Right.
If you spread it out, the payments, is there an interest on it?
Right now, I'm just going to use Pierce. There is a 0% financing option. There's also a lease purchase with 2 options within that lease purchase option. One of the options is you put down a blanket fund or a blanket amount of money, and at the end of it, you have the option of purchasing the apparatus at the end, or again, on the other option, you put down a lump sum of money, and when the lease is up, you get another brand new Pierce apparatus. Is it the correct way to go about purchasing apparatus for the town of Morris? I'm not too sure at this time. I'm not going to say yes or no, because
No, so the interest,
we're not at that point yet.
and the interest could completely change because of what's going on in the world. So I
Right.
guess, yeah.
Exactly.
Can I also ask you, it's kind of the same question as David, but because I'm confused, which is the one we refurbished?
Engine 5 went through a refurb 2 years ago. Engine 3 is in the process right now of being refurbed.
That's what I thought. Okay. And then what, you want to buy a replacement for one of these 2, or is it for the Rescue 6 refurb? No.
Rescue 6 is not in capital yet at
Okay.
all. That was taken off capital.
Rob, we put in 20,000 for next year for that refurb for 6.
Oh, I thought we discussed that we were going to put that farther out.
We could. We can discuss it for next year.
Mm-hmm. Right.
All right, anything else for the chief in regards to the engine 3 or engine 5, or excuse me, just engine 5 that's on the capital? Okay. Lou, you want to talk to us about the 01 International dump?
No, that's, it's basically getting up there in age. It's a few years from now, it'd be time to replace it. It's got some body rot, some cab rot. Body's already been fixed once. And then it's just the normal replacements down the line for the other equipment. One major topic is that East Shore culvert. It's in pretty sad shape. There's rebar showing underneath it, so we got to start sinking some money away for that. I have George Stone's estimator coming up to give us a more up-to-date budget price on that, and I'm almost thinking it might be cheaper to fund that ourselves rather than going through the local bridge program. Because once you get the state and DEP involved, it just adds to the cost.
Louis, on that bridge culvert, you've got 200,000 from last year, and it looks
I
like
don't think we do we?
culvert replacement East Shore. Isn't that the one you're talking about?
Was that
wasn't
approved?
from last year. I think that was for a couple years ago. We put that away.
It's there.
2 years ago.
Okay.
2 years ago.
Okay, it's there.
So the last budget price I got was probably 5 years ago, was 400,000.
Okay. So we're looking at 24, 25 before you can get into this project.
Well, we can get in at any time you want to fund it. It's just a matter of hiring somebody and getting it done, but
You
depends on how
get
long you want it.
200,000 now, and the budget would give you 50. That would give you 250.
Yeah.
Where does that put you?
And that's if you can do it for that. I'm thinking you can if we do it ourselves.
Okay. Then,
Once I get the price, I'll let you know, so you,
yeah, why don't you look into that? Because, if it's 50,000 a year for the next 5 years and it gets worse and worse and worse, and it go up exponentially, or if you have 250, if the 50 stands and you're in this budget, get it done. Because you do have 200,000 there for that project.
okay.
So if you got a price on that, it'd be great.
And then the other thing we got on there is pond cleaning. Years ago, probably 40 years ago, we had a line item for fire pond cleaning. We had put $2,000 a year aside, and that disappeared. We used to let it build up and do a pond every 5 years, and so, but we really got to start cleaning out some of these ponds for water supply for fires.
Does 10,000 this year do it?
If it's in capital, if it doesn't do it, we can let it set and build up and do a bigger one the next year, let it build up every year. Right now, 10,000 will clean a pond, but say you want to build a new one like down in East Morris where there's water is kind of shy, you can, if it's in capital, you can let it build up for a couple of years and then do it.
Okay. Do you have an overall plan on the fire ponds?
Yeah, kind of. It's not set in stone, but I'm kind of familiar with which ones need it and which ones don't.
Okay.
How many are there total?
Oh, quite a few.
Have we cleaned
20?
any? Have we?
We haven't cleaned any in a few years.
I know the one down in Farnham's was done a few years back.
Quite a while ago.
It's still pretty clean.
It's quite a while ago now. I was fire chief then. That's going on, 8 or 10 years now.
It's not that long. It was cleaned. Really, it's not that long.
No, it wasn't.
No.
Lou, can you give First Tome an idea how many ponds we have in the town of Morris?
Oh, I don't know. Officially, 20, 30 maybe, off the top of my head.
And you figure it's about 10,000 to clean one?
Well, we're doing Wheeler's Pond this summer. That's $7,500.
Okay.
Louis, are the ponds all about the same size?
Some of them are smaller, some of them are bigger. They're all pretty much the same size.
Okay.
So the price wouldn't change. They'll all be about the same price.
Well, bigger pond would be more machine time, more money.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You hire people by the job, and they just give you a quote. And this year we hired a local guy to do Wheeler's Pond. We got 2 or 3 local quotes and then a couple from out of town, and a local fellow was the low quote, so we gave him the job.
Any other questions for Louis?
No,
Thank you.
Tom, talk about the municipal building capital maintenance.
That's what we're starting to look at for next year. It's there to help cover large costs of, say, perhaps replacing a roof on one of the municipal buildings, replacing a boiler, maybe a generator at the firehouse or the highway department. Any large capital expenses, if we can put it away year by year and be able to draw from it, we'd have the money available in the emergency that, when a boiler goes down, you got to replace it, that type of thing.
Do you know how old the boiler is?
Depends on which building you're in.
So let's say the town hall, the main building.
Town hall, we just did that 2 years ago. We replaced it with a propane boiler.
Oh. And then what are the other buildings?
Lou, what's the garage at? Do you remember?
The garage is probably, I bet you're pushing 20 years now, off the top of my head.
I think the firehouse is about the same, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty close. The town hall one, the garage one blew up when Richard Skilton was selectman, so
Yeah.
that'll give you a good time frame.
And the senior center has 2 warm air furnaces. So either one of those goes, they'd have to be replaced, of course.
Is there any that are currently in jeopardy, or is it just a be safe situation?
It's as needed situation, but also this would be for capital expenses, not just the boiler here or there or a warm air furnace. It would be, like I said, for a roof or drill a new well, something like that. Any emergency, any unplanned expense.
The outside of these big buildings need to be treated with water repellent every few years. They haven't been done in quite a while, the brick buildings.
Yep.
Can any of that be used with the LoCIP money?
Some, we're looking at some of the purchases of generators with LoCIP. We're talking with Region 6 still, and we're also looking at the town hall generator for that.
Okay.
Was that the emergency generator that we were going to get in case there was a hurricane or that sort of thing? Emergency generator?
Any power outage.
Okay.
So whatever happened to the generator that was supposed to go into the school?
That's the James Morris generator.
Yeah.
We're still working on the funding stream for that.
Any other questions on capital? Done?
Well, I think what you're looking at for this year at least, and Lou, correct me if I'm wrong, as far as the pond dredging, since we already have one we're doing at Wheelers, I'm not sure if you planned on another one this year.
We have others we can do, but I mean, you can start that the following year if money's real tight, you know.
So probably the only money really spending out of this capital non-recurring budget would be probably for the pond if we do it in the spring of next year or in next fiscal year. Other than that, it's putting away money for the future to have good fiscal practice in place here to, you know, save for the future.
Anywhere we can save a little less.
I don't see it, as we say, you're talking about the future and these prices only usually go up. So the sooner we can get them done, the better. And if you wait too long on some of these, you're going to be paying out of your pocket somehow, not out of capital.
But don't you think there's also a possibility that I know I'm going to be the Debbie Downer again, but there's going to be, there is now deflation, and hopefully some of these things will come down in price.
Well, that's true, and the soonest you're gonna maybe purchase something would be that 2001 International dump truck. So if it does come down in price, we don't pay as much.
Yeah. And next year should be difficult year, so that the price could come down.
Correct, yep.
Everybody understand how capital works?
No,
Okay. If we put this as the budget, you're only talking about the 2021. Once a line item has money allocated to it, that never goes away unless by town meeting. So that's a commitment to these specific projects. That's something that maybe we should think about with what's coming ahead and how we do this. So this right now, as it's written, the 2021 proposal would lock in these particular things as being expenditures.
Actually, at a town meeting, you can also, in the future, say you don't end up purchasing that 2001 dump, the town meeting could reallocate those monies.
Right, but you have to go through a town meeting to do it.
Right.
So that's something that, you know, it's something for the board to think about. Just wanted to make sure everybody understood that. And I don't know, with municipal budget, municipal building capital maintenance, I don't know if that's specific enough, Tom, for a to be a line item on a capital budget.
You know, I'll check on that. I'll check this week for you.
Now, having said that, we can fund capital. That doesn't mean it's all or nothing here. And just to go further, we don't have to put in municipal building capital maintenance on as a project, but that money can go into capital. So, I mean, we're looking for 280,000. We know capital's very low. We can fund it and then assign balances as we go.
True, yep.
So
Yeah.
that's, there's just a couple of things to think about long-term. I'm a little jaded. Was around when things got weird, so.
Perfect. Well, let's let the library jump in and we can get back to this. Then that way we're not wasting everybody's time.
Okay,
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Lou.
thank you.
oh, are they leaving?
Yes.
Oh.
You
Okay.
have a question?
Well, I had a question about the Vintech and the whole ambulance thing, but Tom doesn't want to talk about that till we get to that.
Well, that's not
Not part of the,
Rob at the moment. Anyways,
Oh,
that's the
okay.
selectman line.
Oh, okay, right.
We can discuss it. Let's go through the library stuff.
Okay, library members?
Okay, when do you want us to jump in?
You're on.
No.
Okay. This is Sally. I don't know what you can,
Hold on. Let me.
Okay, Sally, I can see you.
gives you an idea, because those are things you never see from year to year. But those are things that we fund for the library. There's on this particular budget, there's the 2018-19 and 2019-20, which is this year. There's no change. And there's no change for next year. Big change for us is at the top is the salaries, both the staff and the library director. Staff, we've been running short of staff for the last, let's see, Liana has worked for the library as the director since July of 2016. In that time, she's taken 2 vacations, 2 one-week vacations. She's actually due a 2-week vacation each year. However, she also has to cover the staff for the library when they take a vacation or when they're out sick. So there is very little room there for her to have any extra time. And as the library gets busier and busier, we use more staff time. So we would like to add into our staff budget another 10 hours a week. And that's the figure you see there. As far as the library director's salary goes, I was very disappointed to see what was put in the union contract. Actually, since Liana has been library director, her first year, our job description says 35 hours a week. This year, I finally said, well, we really need to have good figures in front of us. I asked Laurel to give me the timesheets from the time she started till, I think it was through November is what I have. For the first year that she worked as library director, she worked an actual 35 or a little more hours a week. Since that time, she was working 38 hours a week. Her job has grown too. She has done a marvelous job with the social media and with all of the digital stuff. I don't know if any of you have noticed that she's got digital programs going now through the shutdown. She's up to date on everything and has done a marvelous job. When we redid our website, she worked with the GoDaddy is who did the website. It was the best price we could find. She learned the technology. She does all her own upgrades. So she's absolutely invaluable as far as the money she saves the town to give us a really quality library program. The circulation has increased by almost 50% from the time she signed on as library director. So I can't speak highly enough about this person, about what she brings to the town and why her salary should be addressed. The other thing is you really got, in the area librarians are earning a great deal more than Liana is. The town of Bethlehem is currently paying their library director $61,670. She works 38 hours a week. She also has an extra person who works with her, who does a lot of the social media, the digital stuff, and the publicity, all of which Elena does herself. The gal in Goshen is being paid $52,413. She works 35 hours a week. The director in Litchfield is being paid $111,775, working a 35-hour week. And Gun Memorial in Washington pays their library director $85,000. So as you can see, we are woefully at what we're currently paying, which is $35,640 is her current salary. So I really, really ask you to consider paying this gal what she's worth. Other than that, as I say, the operating budget really pretty much stays the same. You can see how much we're contributing to it. None of our staff gets health insurance, so that's a big lump that you're not paying out. As far as computers and computer maintenance goes, and computer software, all of that the library has paid for on their own. And, you know, there's 2 programs there, Overdrive and Wildberry. Those are 2 programs offered by Bibliomation. One is the digital books, and the other one, I can't even remember what Wildberry is. That's a program that shows you what new books come in weekly. It comes up on the website. as you can see, there's, we spend $1,700 in fundraising that year. And that's that's something we won't have this year. We were less than a month away from our big fundraiser, which would have taken place March 29th. And obviously we didn't have it. We've been waiting to see if we could reschedule it this year. It doesn't really look like that's going to happen. Mostly because the coronavirus is being a real stinker as far as not going away, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen soon. So that's money that we won't have access to. Supplies, now that you have fully funded supplies, the 2,500, that should pretty much take care of us. With the year previous, we were spending 3,000. We do a service contract on the copier, which we bought ourselves. The town did not pay for. Museum passes, a lot of the programs that we do are funded by the Friends of the Library. So they pay for the museum passes. That allows people in Morris to go to many of the museums in Connecticut, in the Connecticut area, at no cost, bring their whole family. Our website, we paid for ourselves, the upgrade. Now Elena can do it herself. She's excellent on digital stuff and saves the library a ton of money. We spent $5,200 in capital. The last time the library was painted, we paid for it ourselves. We bought new window treatments. We try not to ask the town for extra things. So all of those things are funded fully by the library or the Friends. We put half of the book budget, we put $6,100 into books in that year. As you can see, we get 7,000. We tried to at least do a little over 1,000 a month for new books and materials. And without doing that, it's just not enough. We've done this for years. We haven't even upgraded the amount we've spent. We just, whatever extra money we have, we put into books. We try to have a fresh collection. We go everywhere we can. We do the lease books. We do everything that we can to save the town money and have fresh items on the shelves for our patrons. So I think I mentioned before, we've increased our circulation by 50%. We have done an analysis of the number of people using the library. There's probably, the average is about 250 a week. So the library is well used. When we just opened it up this week to get books, people were on the phone immediately, thrilled that they could get books. We're doing an online story hour. She's got 2 programs scheduled for May.
Are you monetizing?
Digital online. What's that?
Are you monetizing any of those programs?
No.
I didn't hear that question.
Library programs, they're free to the public.
My question is, are you monetizing?
I don't know what you mean then.
Are you asking or soliciting for donations before or after the start of those programs?
No, we are not. These programs are paid for by the Friends of the Library from money that we have already solicited from our patrons with our fundraisers.
But what's the reason that you're not for donations at the end?
Because libraries basically are not money-making organizations. They're to provide services to a community, and the community is funding it.
Yeah, but you're not having a fundraiser this year, you don't think? So wouldn't that be a suggestible alternative?
If I can add, there was one time during the Board of Finance, we did briefly discuss that why our programs are free to the public at all times unless there are supplies involved. There have been situations. It's because the sense of the public library that it's free to everyone. So if someone, for example, let's take it, for example, spring break event. If someone cannot go away for a spring break, which will take a regular year, so that situation allows, they can come to a free program to the library, and it's free to all. It's free. It's open to the public. All public libraries try to maintain that idea that we're a public library, we're free, and all our events are open to the public. And as Sally has mentioned, when we do fundraise, when the Board and Friends fundraise, they put it out right off with a specific announcement that this is a fundraiser. So it's how we raise the money, and then it goes to the Friends and the Board for programming and different things. Because what the donation jar that has been suggested before, it seems like a good idea, but looking at the amount that could be raised at that time compared to the amount that gets raised during our fundraisers is probably incomparable.
Yeah, my suggestion isn't that you charge money for your events. My suggestion is that if you're doing an online event, why wouldn't you put up a GoFundMe tag? Why wouldn't you put up your fundraiser tag or plug it or announce it? And if you're not going to do a fundraiser this year, it seems like it'd be absolutely imperative that you guys would try to monetize your digital stuff or any event that you are going to do. Because if you don't, the other alternative is you raise no money. And I understand that these are free events. They're put on by the Friends, but you need to monetize them to some degree if you're not going to have any fundraising events this year. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, that's the idea that definitely the library board would have to consider whether they are willing to do that. Just to speak of the events that we've had so far, digital, online, they're either the events that we do, library staff, that I do online, Storytime Online, or book clubs, and we had an author visit. So author visit is that was a free event. So far we just had free events. So as I said, it's still new. We have explored, we have advanced, and really we have put a lot of focus on the digital materials and digital aspect of the programming at the time due to the situation that we have. Yeah, so thank you for your
Like I mentioned, I'm not saying that you should charge for events. Just to clarify, all I'm saying is that if you do your online book readings like you're talking about and your author events, in the first 10 seconds, maybe talk about how people can donate to the library, and at the last 10 seconds of your event or your online, maybe you can do it again. Right? And just remind people that the library does take donations and it is tax deductible. And if you get donations, it's better than nothing.
Yeah, thank you for your suggestion that we would, with the library board, so we'll probably have to meet with the library board and pass it by the whole board so that it does, I actually, in fact, I always promote everything that's coming up. So let's see, not just the fundraising part of it, because the situation has evolved and we do indeed have to modify some of the things. But I always promote what's going on, and it's a new way now that we connect, but we can also do this and this and this. So in new world.
Chris, could you flip the screen over to our budget? Thank you. So at the end of the day, the library's not asking for any more money except for to address the salary issue?
That's correct.
She gets a whole $2 raise. Wow.
Well, actually, they're going to raise it all. She
Well,
got
I know,
a-
what I'm looking at it is to $36,530, and then, $37,352. I mean, that's, that's nothing.
There was also a change in the contract. I noticed her previous contract was 30 hours. The new contract says 32.
Is she union?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Does she
I
have to be
don't know
union?
what happened there.
It's called getting it stuffed up your ass.
Does
Because
Elena
the union
have
exists on-
to be in the union?
It was explained to me that this position has to be in the union at the time that there was negotiation of the present. So
But who made that decision?
that was, I asked why can this position not be taken out of the union? And the response from the union representative was that there are several things. The first one, that I do still have to report up to the chain of command, that is my board and the first selectman. And the second reason is that I do not necessarily have access or handle any confidential information. So probably not the exact phrase, but these were the 2 points that were highlighted.
As far as the question goes, do you have to be in the union? America's a free country. Anybody can opt out of a union, right? And your union contract will spell out for you exactly how you can opt out of your union if you so wish. But in terms of a salary increase for a union position for a contract that's already been negotiated, I don't think the Board of Finance has the purview or the option to adjust this up. I don't even think we have the option without getting grieved from all the other union members and opening the town up to lawsuit. It's not an option, and I feel like we talked about this last year.
I think we discussed this last year, and we talked about trying to find out why she's in the union to begin with and how to get her into a director's position, which is what she's called. It just doesn't seem to make sense to me.
You could certainly reach out to your union representative in town for the town union, or the union representative for your direct council, and ask them for a copy of your contract. And I would suggest you read it over, and if you're not aware of what you're reading, consult an attorney to decide if there's a way you can opt out, or if that's a better option for you to go.
I think the board will probably take that up. It seems as our authority is being usurped. And the only reason that was a union position is because the previous library director didn't want to do the job, quite frankly, and this protected her.
Sally, can I ask you another question?
Sure.
I'm confused with the talk about, I agree with everything you said. And I thought you explained it very well as far as what the area towns pay and how the area towns value their libraries. And I think we have a wonderful library. And I echo the fact that the gal who's in charge of our library does a terrific job. But my problem is that if she's a union employee, as somebody else mentioned, can we actually do something with her salary, either increasing it or decreasing it, without getting ourselves legally in trouble? I looked at the salaries of the other towns. I was embarrassed that we pay $35,000 to, I think, is a wonderful library with a director that I think should be $50,000. However, for us to do that, I think we have to find out whether or not she can leave the union and whether or not she actually is now paying union dues to the union. And we might want to look at this maybe at another time, because if we do this now, I think we're going to be stuck with the union salary and not the salary that she deserves.
Dave, thank you very much for recognizing what the library is. And we were, as a board, we were under the impression that this time around that we couldn't do anything while the contract was being negotiated, but that she would be taken out of the union. That obviously didn't happen. And we had no, ability to influence it at the time. If anybody deserves, quite frankly, if you simply paid her by the number of hours she works, she would be up at least closer to where she should be.
Right.
It's the fact that she's considered salary. I don't know why this is, since There's very few other people in town that are salary positions. She has no advantages of being a salary position. And, you know, as I say, I did an analysis and easily proved that she is putting in the number of hours that would, if she were paid for them, would, you know, easily give her a significant raise. So
Yep.
I don't know that there isn't a way of approaching it.
I mean,
Well,
just
I have to
looking-
say my hat goes off to Elena because I personally have been in the library and she has been a great help to me in a couple of times that I've been in there. And having lived in Morris for 6 years, I've not frequented it a lot, but she's done a fantastic job helping me when I needed assistance on certain things. And personally, I think she's underpaid.
So I guess what we need to do or think about doing is, I don't know if we want to table this or not, is what I'm
Okay,
thinking, but
David, let me stop you right there. We've had this debate last year, right? And we made it crystal clear last year that it's a union position and union position raises are tied to the union contract. We are not going to open the board up for litigation to discussing a salary increase for a union position. We can all agree that she's underpaid. We can all look at the numbers, look at Sally's homework, look at what other librarians are getting paid. There's not a doubt, shouldn't be a doubt in anyone's mind that she's grossly underpaid. The problem is she's a union employee. The union contract has just gotten ratified, and we are not in a position as a board to change the salary for this position at this time unless she were to opt out of the union.
So do
And
I have
that's-
a choice to opt out of the union?
Last year, I don't know if everybody remembers it. David, you weren't here, so I know you weren't a part of it.
yeah.
But that's where we're leaving.
Which was explained to me that the position is in the union, but my question is, do I have a choice to be out of the union, to opt out?
Absolutely have a choice to opt out of your union. Your union contract will explicitly state how you can opt out of your contract.
Just to clarify that, yeah, any employee can opt out of the union and not pay their dues, but the position is still a bargaining unit position. And it's covered by the contract.
Is there a way to change that?
No, there isn't.
You mean that once you get a position that's a union position, you can never, ever change that?
You can, at the end of the contract, you can try to renegotiate that out.
You could also not fill the union position, and we can fill a similar position outside of the union contract.
And you'll be setting yourself up for a big grievance.
Same grievance we're sitting on now, trying to raise the rate.
The same. Been there.
You know, it's really caught between whatever and then whatever. It's just sad in a way that this was last year, and this person spent a whole year at a salary that probably is far less than 3 area towns, and now it seems it's going to happen again. I understand the fact that it sounds to me like really because it's a union deal, we can't do anything. But I think as smart as we think we are, I think we have to look at this down the highway and do some homework and find out how we can help this person or decide that we actually can't help this person. Because if we're doing this again next year, it's going to be the same thing. We have got a wonderful director of the library who is underpaid. And the first thing, if I were her, I'd want to do is find another place to show my skills, but she probably doesn't want to leave the library in Morris because obviously she loves her. I feel bad about this, about the salary, and it doesn't seem to me like we can rectify this.
You just made a good point, Dave, about health insurance. So Tom, she's a union person. Is she eligible for health insurance?
Yes, but
Any
he doesn't want to
person in the
take it.
state of Connecticut that works 30 hours or more is eligible for health insurance.
Well, I know what the law is in regards to the health insurance, but I'm
covers
saying with a
everybody.
union,
That covers
you
everything.
know. All right,
She can have it, but she doesn't need it.
okay.
She has insurance elsewhere. I believe it's with her
Okay.
husband.
Yes.
Right, okay, I understand.
So it is a savings for the town.
Oh, of course it is. Big savings.
Elena,
How
have you,
how would you go about arranging a meeting with the union and members of the library board to discuss this?
Elena, as a member of the union, would have to speak with her union representative. If she wanted to have a counsel available to her at that time, she can certainly hire her own counsel, but that's how this is going to have to get taken up.
The
But
town
correct
does
me if
not
I'm wrong.
provide any counsel?
She's a union member. She would be speaking with her union steward. The
Okay.
town does not provide counsel for a union member to speak with the union steward.
Got it.
But Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, being that Tom just said she would basically have to stick it out to the end of the contract before anything could be negotiated. So if she meets with a union rep now, decides she wants to opt out of the union, then Tom has the right to say, you're out of job.
It's a union position per the contract.
Right. So in other words, she has to stay in the union until this contract goes to negotiation again next year.
It doesn't go next year. It's 3 years down the road.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
The opportunity to negotiate with her, or for her to speak with her union rep, was really this year. We had addressed this last year.
Which I did. I put in my request of 35 hours for the library director position when negotiations were taking place.
And what happened?
In the contract, they're at 32 hours now. So,
But the contract, the salary did not increase proportionately to accommodate for the additional 2 hours.
So why would that be?
What's that?
So why would that be? Why would the hours be increased and not the wages or the salary?
A better
I don't
question
know.
would be, why didn't this get pointed out to the union representative that was negotiating with the town?
Yeah.
Well, I think that Sally has spoken many times with the Board of Finance and the First Selectman with regard to requests for increase in hours and increase in salary. I don't think that this was not addressed. Not only this not only this year, but also in prior years.
And her hours and salary, Nancy, are fixed in the contract.
Exactly.
And
So
then
why would the
again,
contract, since it was up for negotiation, not be adjusted?
It's up to that, for her to communicate that to the union rep and for the union rep to negotiate that. If the union rep's not negotiating, the union and the union, her and the union members would need to take them up with that union rep. It's clear looking at this that the rep is not concerned with what's going on, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, but the negotiation is between the union and the town. So why would the town now take that up and increase the hours and increase the salary and take that to the union? That would be through
Nancy, do you
the
understand
town
what you're
who's negotiating that.
It's the town's job to negotiate against the union, not for the union. It's the union's job to negotiate for the union. You're saying, why is it that the town isn't coming out, giving everybody more hours and more salary?
No, I'm not talking about everyone. I'm just talking about the director of the library.
I mean, they pay dues for their union rep. If the union rep is doing a good job for you guys, that's something the union members need to get together and discuss. I'm really not comfortable addressing this any further.
Why are we addressing this when it's not
It
within our
seems like
purview?
we go round and round on this every year. And the only way you got to look is in the mirror and say, why aren't we dealing with this? Because you're the only one that can deal with it.
Can I ask one more question? The area towns like Bethlehem and Goshen and Washington, their library directors, are they also in the union in the towns?
No.
They're not. Okay. Is it the same union for their DPW guys that we have in Morris?
Yes.
Yes. So for some reason, the union has decided that the library position, or somebody decided that the library position should be part of the union in Morris. Is that right?
That's correct.
Huh. Okay, thank you.
The
Okay,
director position never should have been in the union in the first place.
100% agree, Nancy.
all right. Looking at this, there's an obvious problem, and it will obviously have to be addressed. And the first thing is you just renegotiated a contract. Everybody got a 2.25% raise, and this one position basically is now making $1 an hour less. Don't know how that happened. The library board is going to have to seek remedy on that.
You spoke up.
So that is what it is.
How could the hours go up and the salary go down? How is that possible?
I have no answer for that. I'm the widow of a Teamster, and I have no answer for that. Absolutely none.
So are you saying that that's the responsibility of the board to find that out?
It's the responsibility of the director to know what her contract is and her salary is, and to raise these concerns with her union representative.
At the time, it was just the negotiation, and then the contract was signed. So it was just the recent thing that I found out. And I thank you, Sally, for calculations.
I think this was brought up. It sounds like it was brought up everywhere, and it resulted in a decrease in pay. And what I guess I'm saying is that the library board has certain reason to take issue. The Board of Finance does have its hands tied to some degree.
Yeah.
But I think this should not stay. I'm actually beyond words looking at this situation. I'm beyond frustrated where we can't fix this or do something, do the right thing here. It's extremely frustrating.
I think our direction of where to go is inaccurate. I think that we just don't know how to get out of this at all and how to go forward. Just based on what Chris says, for Elena to go to the representative, the union representative, I mean, if that is the first directive that needs to be done, then I would suggest that we go forward with that. But I think that the board, is really lost in what the procedures are. And that's where we're behind the 8 ball in this. And that's why it doesn't change.
We can all, like going round and round. It's simple, really. We all agree this position should get a raise. If we did and gave this position a raise specifically, now the town has opened a lawsuit for every union position to get an equal raise. It is the job of the director or the job of the person in that position to talk to the union representative when the contract's getting drafted to make sure their salary and their hours are commensurate. If it didn't get done, there's nothing this board can do about it, as unjust and unfair as it is, guys. It's terrible.
The board had no ability to deal with the union. And in fact, we couldn't even see the contract until it was signed. So we kind of came in behind the 8 ball.
It's not the library board's fault. It's not the Board of Finance's fault. It's no one's fault other than the union rep and the person that should have been talking to their union rep to negotiate their salary.
Which I did. I did specify the request on my request. So I did the best I could.
Obviously, when they came and told her that this is why she had to be in the union forevermore, they were aware of the fact that she wanted to opt out. This was addressed 4 years ago when the first contract was, the board was absolutely incensed that our director was in the union supervising the rest of her staff, which is what Elena does. It's a total travesty, both from a staff standpoint and the director standpoint. Now, because they've got a technicality that they're hanging their hats on, I don't know where to go with it.
Well, I don't,
We all
as
agree,
Chris
Sally.
said before, I don't believe this is the area or the correct meeting to discuss this at all.
Tom, I'm well aware of that.
Time to move on.
The only thing is we had nowhere else to go, so we thought we would bring it up one more time.
Sally, you're getting nowhere tonight. So let's move on to something else.
Does anybody have any more questions for the library while we have them?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I have a question in regards to if she's union, is she punching a time clock? She's a salaried individual.
Yes.
Yes.
You shouldn't have to.
All town employees are using a time clock to track the time.
Yeah, but a union and a salaried
Doesn't matter.
individual does not have to punch a time clock.
It's town policy.
I'm confused by that. Elected officials
Town
punch
policy.
time clocks?
I punch. Town clerk punches.
But technically, legally, they don't have to. A
Yes, we
salaried
can.
individual.
As a town policy, we don't have that.
It's a- all right,
How long
guys.
has that policy been in effect?
We're getting nowhere here on this budget. so
Well, how long has that policy been in effect?
And
Quite a while.
I know we're getting nowhere here.
Funny,
It's
because
kind
we
of
never had-
frustrating. I mean, we went nowhere for 10 months and we're nowhere now. So as far as the one thing
Thanks, Chris.
I'm gonna go
It's very frustrating.
and say something on, I mean, the fact that you have a contract that took $1 an hour away from the employee, that's gotta be at the very least a mistake, an oversight.
Lou, you've been in the union for a very long time. Could you speak to Elena and to Sally of what things that because being in the union, I was only in it for a short period of time. It's great for certain things, but other things you're squished in. There's nothing you can do. And we couldn't even have somebody from the Board of Finance who knows about this stuff be in the room. So maybe you could help a little bit, or Sue, who is the head of your union. I don't know. What do you
All
think?
right, well, look, guys, we're not discussing the union contract salaries tonight, other than they pertain to line items. So if we have no more questions for the library, we can get into the line items.
I actually have one thing just to we pay 100%. The town pays 100% for library. Most libraries.
Or what? Excuse me, Carrie, before you go any further, the town does not pay 100% for the library.
Not that they should,
Carrie,
but they do.
Carrie, were you referring to a specific line item?
I'm just pointing out, it's not against anybody, it's not for anybody. It's just we are very different from the other towns. For example, Kent, where I go a lot and speak to them, the head of the library spends most of her year doing these fundraisers, and nobody, you all know it's a tremendous amount of work, but she has to raise $450,000 every year. And we're in a different position here. So,
Carrie, what would you suggest? Because I think, first of all, by saying the town funds the library 100%, that's disingenuous at the very least.
okay,
You have a $7,000 book line item, and I think they spend an average of $14,000 on books. So, I mean, you just said that all their programs are paid for by fundraising.
No, I said
So
it's
I'm not sure if you're
37.
saying we should cut more and have them fundraising more, that's fine. But I don't think it's fair to the library to say that the town funds them at 100% because they never have.
I'm just saying that the thing of fundraising is a very difficult job. So I just want to put out there what what our town is different, and we also have a union.
But we're not
And-
different.
Also, if I can add, as far as I know in Kent, the library is a different, the Kent Memorial. It is an association library. It's not a municipal library. And association libraries, I cannot give you exactly, but they do receive only a very small amount from the municipality, and they fundraise the rest. For example, and Oliver Wolcott Library, as far as I know, is the same type of library. As for municipal libraries, for example, the Woodbury Public Library, I know for sure they get 100% of their funding from the town. And they probably do fundraise. I don't know specifics, but I just want to point out the two types of libraries in the state of Connecticut: association libraries and municipal libraries. The Morris Public Library is a municipal library.
And Kent is an associated library.
Yes, it's definitely, if it would be in their bylaws and all. Yes, as far as the Kent Memorial, right?
Yep.
As far as I know, yes, because I also some libraries like Gun Memorial Libraries also, it's different. It's not a municipal library. So the fact is, I would probably even separate municipal libraries and non-municipal libraries, such as association libraries, private libraries that do fundraise more versus municipal libraries. As I say, the Woodbury Library, 100%. I know that they do receive the municipal
Okay, that's very interesting. I had no idea about this. And how did we get to be a municipal?
I don't know. I think that was from the very beginning that when I started working in the Morris Public Library's Department of Town. So that is definitely a municipality versus, definitely different libraries that exist in the state of Connecticut.
Litchfield and Washington Depot, they are both the other.
Yes, so I'm not even sure. They may be different in what they are, but Washington, I think, is a private library somehow. And again, it is, it's not a municipal library. I can say that.
I understand. Okay, well, that was very interesting. Thank you.
Most private libraries have a large trust fund.
Yes.
And they don't start from scratch every year to raise money from first dollar out. That they have a trust fund that provides a certain amount of money, which gives them the base to start from.
Yeah.
Libraries are traditionally underfunded, and we're not proud of that. But they're becoming more. Everyone thought with the digital age, libraries would be less necessary. And what we're finding is, they're more necessary. People turn to their library for many, many different things. And going into a difficult time, which we are now, nobody knows what's going to happen with the economy. You find that people turn to their library more and more in a difficult economy because this is where they can get so many different resources, so many different things that will help them, both from a works point of view. We have people coming into the library all the time using the computers. And you think everybody's got a computer. Well, no, everybody doesn't. Everybody doesn't have a printer. Those are just things, how many resumes go out of the library on a regular basis. And we will see, I know, during this next difficult period, a great deal more use of the library because people need it. They turn to it. They don't have the funds to buy things that they might buy ordinarily. So I think it's, number one, we're proud of what we have accomplished. We're proud of the fact that Elena does such a wonderful job, and we're disappointed in the fact that the town, for whatever reason, can't properly fund her position. And we have got to find a solution to it. I don't know what it is just yet, but I'm not going to give up. Thank you.
As you've heard, everybody is really proud of the library now because of what Elena's done. I'm just looking at it as a cold, like if I was the accountant, I would look at this and say, if we're going into difficult times, where can we freeze things? That it's not the library. I'm looking at everybody's thing here, and that we really have to freeze and go to our last budget just
Not
because we don't
increasing
know what's going
anything.
to happen. Or we just wait until we see what the revenues are in July. And then we just leave this all the way it is, and we approve or disapprove, and then if in July we don't get the 98%, then we have to look at how much we get, or also how much we'll get back from the school because they've been closed. If we get money from there, that could fund other things. I'm just looking at it as a impartial.
Okay, just to move on, they're not asking for an increase in any other line item. Does anybody have questions?
Any other questions for the
Flat
line?
budget as flat can get. I think it's the first one we've seen that's really flat. So, is there anything else? Is there any other questions?
No.
Uh-uh.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lena. Thanks, Sally.
Thank you.
I'll be right back. If you want to go back to where we left off, Chris.
Capital?
Oh, I have a question for capital. Is Rob still there?
I'm here.
So there, I've never completely understood this, but there is somebody that approves if you can get new equipment, right, Lou? You go into a group and you discuss it amongst yourselves?
It's the equipment committee.
Okay, the equipment committee. Did they approve all of this?
Well, we're not purchasing equipment this coming year, so they don't need to approve it yet.
I see. Okay, thank you.
All right, is everyone okay with the capital where it's at?
Again, I'm going to throw it out here. Do you want to lock these line items down for as they stand?
Again, I
Well-
have one question, and what happened to the money that we got from Region 6 that was supposed to be put aside, and it went to a town vote maybe 2 years ago now? I can't actually remember. But that money was to be set aside for the generator
Correct.
for the
It's still
school.
there.
Where is that money?
It's still there, set aside.
It's not in capital.
Yeah, I mean, it's not showing any place, so where is it?
It would be it should be there's a dedicated O2 account, correct?
No,
Or an O3 account? Is there a dedicated account to it?
no.
Well, where's the money?
Okay.
The money is sitting in the operating account. It's unspent, unallocated funds.
Back to capital, guys. Does anyone have any issue? No other questions other than what we're looking at here, please. Does anyone have any issue with what we're proposing for capital for 20 to 21?
Yeah, do we want to lock this in for the next 5 years on these items?
Not necessarily for the next 5 years. A town meeting can unapprove and repurpose those funds at any time. They're not locked in.
So at whose discretion are these funds repurposed?
The town meeting.
Meeting.
Okay.
Any discussion?
No.
No.
All right, favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
So, Chris, what's the motion? To accept non-capital, non-recurring as is?
We're
not making a motion, Christine. We're just voting to accept it.
It's an
Yes.
informal poll vote. It doesn't count as a vote. It's just an informal poll that Chris has been taking to get a consensus and move on.
I'm just trying to get us to move on.
Move on.
Move on.
Okay, move on.
Perfect. I think what we could do, guys, is we can start from the top, run through each item, and then we can get to a point where we can look at the mill rate and what kind of reduction we're looking at, and we can discuss a collection rate, and we can see altering the collection rate versus the mill rate where we're going to fall. So I'm going to go start from the top. We're going to go through each budget, and we're going to make sure everything's filled out till we get to the end and we can see where the mill rate falls. All right?
Yes.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Where did you
Well,
start?
we were going to talk about the Board of Finance clerk. So, I mean, is that
I thought you were
discussion
starting at
still open?
150. Chris, are you starting at the beginning?
Yes.
Okay, that's one back. There you go. All right.
I don't think there's enough in capital non-recurring.
I wouldn't put 280 in.
That's what
I
the
would put
request-
more.
That's what the request was, but that
The request was 400,000.
I thought the request was 280.
It says right there, 400,000.
Oh.
Oh, okay. The capital projects that you're locking into were 280.
So 280s are minimum.
Capital could be funded to any amount. That will leave capital. It won't come out of capital, but it will be available for future projects.
Right
So
now,
excuse me? Well,
right now,
Our fund keeps going. Our fund keeps going down year after year, and we're not putting enough away. So, if there's an emergency, what are we going to take it out of?
You're not going to have anything in capital in an emergency.
we also have never borrowed and have no debt.
right now we have about $37,000 in funds in the capital non-recurring that are not designated.
Guys, like I said, the goal of this isn't to be here till midnight. The goal of this is to try to get through this as quick as we can. We can debate the fiscal clerk. We can debate how much we want to fund in capital. We can debate all this next week before we finalize the budget. Let's just try to get through all the slides so we can look at a rough figure in the next 10 minutes, okay?
I
Yep.
would suggest put 300,000 in until we see where we're at with our mill rate and everything else in it, and you can go back.
Perfect.
Yes, thank you.
Just everybody keep your eyes and just let me know if I'm missing something or there's a misprint.
Can you make that any bigger? It's very
Carrie,
hard.
just push your screen, Carrie, and you can use your fingers and you can do it that way.
Oh, okay.
Hey, can you increase your own screen?
Yep.
I don't see anything here. Don't see anything here. Beach and Rec, we went over pretty much in depth last week. We just went over the library, planning and zoning.
Could I ask one thing about the beach and rec?
Yeah.
No questions.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Shut up, Carrie.
We're trying to get to the end. We can ask all the questions you want next week before we finalize it.
Got it. Sorry.
Tax collector looks good. We went over treasurer. Board of Health. In the wetlands, ZBA. Town clerk is solid. Assessor's good. Community hall.
Guess somebody thought a lot about that.
Okay. Maybe not so much. You got a note there on health insurance. Do we get a finalization on that number?
We should have that next week.
There you go. Keep the note. Moving on. Board of Health.
I'll tell you what, let's let's make this a worst case scenario number, and then it only is gonna get better. How about that?
Perfect. What did you want, go 185 on that, Chris?
171.
It's
Oh,
a
okay.
scenario,
Got
and
it.
if it's better, we end up with $10,000 more next week. It's a good thing.
It'll be better than that.
Leave it
You
there.
must really be talking about changing the plan.
Okay. We went over this one with Lou last week. Losup is there. Tree warden, miscellaneous selectmen.
Are we missing something here? Because it seems low.
Selectmen
yeah.
911.
Got moved.
I got a question. Back up.
No questions, Carrie.
It's not me. It wasn't me.
That
I'm
wasn't
shutting up.
No, this
That was Tracy.
chairman here.
Tracy.
It looks
I
like
know.
something's missing. I'm saying you have a big fat missing selectman 911 figure, and the selectman is sitting here. Are we not using that anymore? Are we waiting for a number?
Move to selectmen safety.
Thank you.
It was a joke, Carrie.
Ha 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 ha.
I knew it was Tracy.
Watching you. Civil division. Okay.
Nancy, are those numbers accurate
For safety,
for civil?
Yes.
It's all right. Safety.
So we have to pay
911. Oh, here it is.
$290,000.
So we can't ask about that till next week?
No, go ahead. Let's get into it because we never touched this one.
Yeah,
What, the EMS, the outside service?
yeah.
Yeah, well, $290,000. That's a lot of money.
So we went from, is that the Vintech?
Yes. That's
Yes.
Vintech, that's LVA and Bantam Fire.
Oh, it's all three put together.
Correct.
So we were at $214,000 for Vintech. So we've kind of stayed at the same position.
We were at
Vintech
210
has
back in
gone up.
1819.
Vintech has gone up 5% over the last 2 years.
5%.
Correct.
So it went from 214 to, what is it now?
Don't have those exact numbers in front of me.
Okay. All right. So it's a little bit better. But I'm not going to ask a question. I'm just going to say if next week we could talk about the fact that this is now a very large number that was not before. So Vintech went up 5%. We also, since we don't have an ambulance, we used to get a percentage. We used to get some money for that, and we don't have it anymore. So we're paying Litchfield 72,000, or is it more this year?
I don't have those numbers in front of me.
Okay. So it's a new clunk of more money, and
Well, we had it last year too.
but we were at 2014 last year.
No, we haven't been 2013, Carrie, 5 years.
No, we were 2000, Carrie, in 2018-19, the approved was $210,000.
So it's
And
even
then it
lower.
went up, but we're up to 290 now. How many calls a year actually do we, I know we have to have an ambulance service. I understand that. But on an average, how many calls actually come out of Morris for an ambulance service?
I believe in the past, it was about 112, 115. It went up to in the 130s, 140s at one point. That's my understanding.
The only question to ask here is, have we bid the service out?
We are looking into options right now.
What's the new name of Campion?
It's Aetna.
Aetna. And does, my one last question is, does Litchfield do 24 hours for themselves, or do they do the same thing as us?
I'm not sure. We can get a hold of the chief in Litchfield if you'd like.
That would be wonderful to see if maybe if they do 24 hours, maybe they'd give us a better price.
So basically, you're talking about $2,000 an ambulance call.
Rob, do you know offhand?
About,
Litchfield, what's their EMT situation? Are they 24 hours?
right now, the town is subjected to whoever holds the PSA, which Litchfield Ambulance holds.
No, I'm talking about Litchfield.
Do I know how many EMTs they have? No.
No.
Now,
Do
how
they
many?
hold their own PSA? Do they pay for Vintech, or they only use their own volunteers?
Offhand, I don't know.
Gotcha.
Like
So-
I said, the best thing to do would be to call the John Podlinski, and he's the chief, and have him get on phone conversation.
That would be great.
I think they're having that conversation now, John.
Okay, are we good on BOS safety for now?
Yep.
Just one quick question. How come emergency management isn't in that, in a safety part of it? It's in miscellaneous selectmen. Is it two different things?
What was that?
Emergency management.
That's right there, miscellaneous. Yeah, we could
Yeah,
move it
well-
over.
I mean, doesn't it make more sense to be in safety?
We'll look at that for next year, yeah.
Okay.
So do we have a dog warden, Tom?
You're looking at him. We will be looking for one now that we have a finalized contract.
So basically, what are the qualifications to become a dog warden?
It's a 2-year certification, or you have up to 2 years to get certified.
Uh-huh.
You're a Dr. Doolittle, Adele.
I
Why
know.
don't you do it?
That's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, the only problem is you're gonna have the same problem I do. You're gonna end up with like 50 dogs living at your house because you'll feel bad and you won't be
Well,
able
that's me already, you know.
I can't do it.
Telling
No,
Danny Doyle I want to build a building in his big field.
Right. Building inspector's good, move on. We're pretty much done here. Oh. One of the things that always comes up with transfer station is their stump grinder, yay or nay?
Nay.
Yeah.
Okay, move on. Sorry, Sam. Think we beat this one up pretty good last week.
We still need to address the second item, but let's just move. So we've made it.
Yeah, except for we didn't put in something on the Board of Finance. You left something open.
What do we miss?
Well, you moved professional services to Board of Finance clerk and finance at the same amount. We started talking about this and didn't get anywhere about.
All right, there we go. It's the same money. It's not going to affect the total. All right. Now let's get to our mill rate calc and see where we are so we can move into old and new business.
Do we still think we're going to collect 98.25%?
No, but this can't be right.
Check your income.
Hold on, let me look at the formulas. Yeah, the formulas aren't there. That's why this is no good. Hold on, let me fix them. There we go.
You're down the mill.
As is, we're down 1.04 mils. If we lower the collection rate to, I don't know,
97.
how low?
So 97 just for fun. What did the tax collector want to do, Chris?
96, I thought, right, Tom?
Yes.
I mean, that's a reduced revenue of almost $5 million.
Am I allowed to ask a question?
You are, Carrie.
Okay, so if somebody could please explain to me, our revenue is divided into 3 plus, little extras. But so that is land tax. I never know how to say this in English. Vehicle tax. And then if someone could explain to me how because the state of Connecticut collects taxes from business owners for their equipment, basically, right?
Yeah, we don't get that.
We don't get, that goes to the state as well?
Yeah, we have personal property tax, we have real estate tax, and we have vehicular tax. Then we have revenue from other sources. What the state collects, the state doth keepeth, and the state doth not give it back. So
the state doesn't collect any property taxes. The state only collects income and sales tax.
Right, but we don't get that back. We get back certain things, but what the state collects, they don't collect for us to give it back.
So let me, I didn't know that. I thought we got that. So let's say Winvind, who she told me when she was screaming and yelling about that supplemental, that she was paying the town $220,000 in taxes. And that, I guess that included all. So when she's closed now, and she has her equipment, and that taxing on the equipment, she still get taxed even so she's closed, and that money doesn't come to us anyway, so we don't have to worry about it.
No, that might be under personal property. I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about something else.
Oh, so
But if you're paying it, when you pay your tax bill, if you pay something to the state of Connecticut, they're not reimbursing us. So I'm not exactly sure with the equipment. I'm guessing it may be a personal property thing, but if she's paying it to the state's not writing us a check. If she's paying it on her town tax bill, that's a different story.
And see, that's my question. That's my question.
No one pays the state for any equipment. No business pays the state for equipment other than the towns, and that's for property.
So Chris, you have a business, you have an office.
The business would pay the town, okay, that it's domiciled in for business personal property. So if you had a printer or you had tables or you had equipment, let's take Poppies for instance. Poppies is going to get taxed on their equipment. Or let's take the golf cart guy that's out on Route 63. He's getting taxed personal property for each golf cart he's got there that he rents, right? And that goes to the town.
So does anybody know how much that amount is on average every year?
Yeah, it's 26.59 mils per thousand. For $1,000 of assessment.
And do we have how much we get? That's part of
6.15 per thousand.
That's our grand list.
Okay. That's included in the grand list.
That's included in the
grand list, yeah.
Now, what do you think is going to happen? Now, Poppies is opened and Dollar General is open. But all these other, and now Ms. Smith from Winvian, they have a lot of money, so they're going to be able to pay. But how about the smaller places? Do you think we're going to get that money?
I think we're gonna have to respond to what happens, is my feeling. I mean, again, I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. I don't know what's gonna happen 6 months from now.
Yeah.
So I think as things go along and unfold, I think you're gonna find if it goes as bad as you think it's gonna go, there will have to be remedies and adjustments made along the way. I think we have to that funds the town, keeping in mind that it's a little hard times. I'd like to see a mill decrease, but there's so little of our budget that goes to fund the town that you start planning for Armageddon and you'll have a town. But I think there's remedies that are going to have to be looked at along the way if things go,
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Guys, I want you to concentrate on mill rate here, okay? See this is a reduction minus the previous mill rate, okay? This is what the mill rate would be. This is the reduction. I'm going to play with some numbers here. Just keep it in mind, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at a 96% collection rate. Now we're going to look at a 97% collection rate.
But was she really comfortable with the 96%? Was she comfortable with it?
I mean, she wasn't comfortable last year at 98.25, and she's already over 100.
Last year was a different set of circumstances. This year, again, we're going into Armageddon. You have, millions of people unemployed. What is her comfort feeling?
That was the rate she felt comfortable with.
96?
96.
Okay.
That's 97. That's 98. And if we go back to last year, that's where it would put us.
I can't read it. Can you just?
It's if we were back at last year's collection rate, Carrie, we'd be minus 1.04 mils.
Okay, but then
Yeah.
it.
Our new mill rate would be 25.55.
Okay.
If we go to the 96% that the tax collector is suggesting, we'd be at a 0.44 mil reduction. And it'd put our mill rate at 26.15.
And we're at 26 point what now?
0.59.
Mm. Ugh,
I like 97.25, split the difference.
Puts us at a 0.78 mil reduction.
I like that. Anybody else?
I don't think we should play hero because that's what we think when the tax collector isn't comfortable with it, and we all know what's still coming.
We can debate this next week, guys. We're just taking a look just so everyone understands what impact
Yeah.
a collection rate has,
Yeah, that's great.
Still here?
Say again?
Is Nancy still with us?
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
give me your comfort level moving forward with cash flow.
We're in good shape.
Give me your comfort level moving forward if Armageddon hits.
You
I'll tell
cut out.
what, I'd be interested to see what the tax collection rate was in 2008 and 2009, and I think we could probably hang our hat on the same rates they went with during that recession.
Oh, good idea.
And I think it was probably 98%. Just guessing, but I think that's a good idea to look up. I mean, we're going in strong. I've worked with Nancy when we've had some real curveballs thrown at us to some large amounts. We might have to, depending on what happens, there may be adjustments to come, but I'm happy here. But we can go back at it next week.
All right, guys, let's move into, I'm gonna pull up our agenda and we'll move into, new business, old business through our agenda. And I'm just gonna save the budget for where we are now.
Wait, Chris, before you do that,
Uh-huh,
there's one line item that we didn't fund.
go ahead.
Going to, or do you want to just do it next week? Because we're gonna,
Which one?
it's our Board of Finance.
Yeah, no, we're gonna deal with that one next week.
Okay.
Got a spreadsheet for the night. Let's move into old, new business, public comment. Let's get that done. We're approaching the 9 o'clock hour. Guys, the goal next week is, let's get this budget finalized. We're right here now. We've met with all the departments. There's maybe one item on 5 or 6 spreadsheets that we need to get into agreement with or have a vote on. But as of next week, we should be able to have a finalized budget. And the good news is, it looks like no matter how you cut the cake, we're going to have a mill reduction.
But very small.
Gambler's remorse, Carrie.
Ha, ha, ha. Okay.
Winning is winning.
I have no old business or new business at this time. I think it's pretty laser focused on the budget, so.
Okay, let's discuss the meeting minutes from last week. Here's Christine's minutes. Thank you, Christine, for doing the minutes.
Very
Or they were so late.
Do I have a motion on the, is there a motion to accept the minutes as written?
Yep. Motion.
There a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, so moved.
So was it Carrie or Adele that made the motion?
Carrie.
Aye.
Carrie,
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Carrie. No, aye.
Adele's not seated.
I can't
That's
speak.
right, sorry.
I can ask questions, but I can't speak.
Public comment. We're going to get into the emails for public comment. Here's an
Before we
email.
get into that, Chris, I have a question.
Go ahead.
And it goes back to when Ron gave us a credit card printout a couple of months ago now. And on that credit card printout was hand blowers, one that was purchased on Tom's credit card and one that was purchased on Laurel's credit card. Where are they and what were they for, Tom?
Where
Can
are
I
we?
answer that?
I think probably I'm more, should answer that myself since we purchased them.
Yeah, I mean, being that Tom and Laurel purchased them, I'd like to know, I'd like to hear from Tom.
Yeah, they're going to be installed in the firehouse.
Okay, but what's taking, can I ask a question as to what's taking so long? I mean, they were purchased 4 months ago.
Oh, you got to hire an electrician. I'm being sarcastic on that one. What's taking so long? We want to make sure the project over there is totally wrapped up, and then we can make any modifications that we seem to do or want to do.
Is that for the new bathrooms project?
Yeah, we're trying to get away. We did this down at the pavilion. It really helped a lot as far as paper products and other issues down at the pavilion.
Did we get good one? Did we get a Dyson?
What's that?
Did we get a Dyson? We get a good one?
No, you spent a lot of money for those. So we're going to get these installed once the project's all set.
So in other words, the bathrooms at the firehouse aren't completed yet.
Well, we want to make sure that we're done with the state, and then we can modify the project.
And for $130, they didn't just give us hand blowers. They only gave us paper. We didn't have a choice.
That's what was spec'd.
Yeah, I'm just saying it would. Oh, okay, forget it.
All right, on to public comment. I'm reading this. This isn't a comment. This is a series of questions. We can't open our board up to answer questions. I mean, like some of this stuff you can read. It's asking about the pension down here. That's got to be brought to the pension commission. So Joel, if you're listening, that's a question for the pension commission, right? In terms of a training line item in the budget, I mean, it's in the budget, and that we discussed that was for CPR. But like I said, I don't think we should be getting in for public comment for this, this isn't a question thing. It's for people to comment on what we're discussing on the budget or budget line items. And then we can address these at the meeting, because obviously we can't address it via email. I'm not going to type an email up right now while we're meeting to answer these questions. I would suggest that a lot of these questions be directed to the, for instance, the line items created, the address to the treasurer, or to the first selectman, or to the pension commission. The Board of Finance only has a purview over line items in the budget and creating the budget. So if it's a comment on creating the budget, Joel, if you're out there and you're listening, that's a comment that you can send to us. If it's a question, I would say direct this to the town.
Christopher, I would disagree with that. If you look, you owe the Morris Fire Company for the last 2 years of pension. The agreement that the town made was that you would fund them for their pension the same that the MVFD had. So that's a substantial amount of money. So when they finally come in and they have 20 members that qualify for it, however many they have to have, then you have to properly fund it. But you owe them from the year 2018 to the year 2019 to the year 2020. So you can't put it off too far, because then it's a big dollar nut that the town of Morris is going to owe the Morris Fire Company.
The pension
So
committee
at least
would direct us to fund their line item, Joel. It's not our prerogative to turn around and fund a line item for the future.
We actually
but
putting money in that line item. That's under the 5,000 budget. There's Morris Volunteer Fire Department pension. There's money approved for that.
Yeah, that's our old pension, Tracy. That's the old members that we have. They still have to fund it until they retire. But the thing is, for the Board of Finance, when they finally get the report from the pension committee, the Board of Finance is going to have to come up with a lot of money, because you're going to owe 3 years. That's one of the problems is you yeah, but
Joel,
you buy back.
Joe, you're getting, like I said, back to what we were discussing. This is meant for comment on the budget, not for answering questions in an email. So if you have questions in an email, we're not going to address.
I understand how it works, Christopher, but you've failed to address the pension for the Morris Fire Company, and this will be the 3rd year. So in the town, you're going to have to bite the bullet, and every year you put it off, it's a bigger dollar item for the Morris Fire Company, and the town's going to have to fund it. And instead of being referred to the one Tracy was just reading, $18,000, if you put it off 3 years, it's going to be $36,000 or $40,000. Then you're going to go, oh wow, this is a lot of money. Well, you should have been funding it since 2018.
We have no idea until somebody tells us. So
But I thought that it was
right now to fund that is it's being asked to fund at $18,450. If somebody has another figure or information and they don't tell the Board of Finance, the Board of Finance does not have crystal balls. I need that information. So if you're telling me there's information out there that somebody's sitting on, I guess that makes me a little cranky. I don't want them to wait 5 years and go, gotcha. If that information needs to be brought forward to the board, if it's more than $18,450, somebody needs to get that information in like yesterday.
But I thought about a year or so ago, they did discuss putting money aside because they had to build the pension up. And the Morris Fire Company.
The process is simple. The pension committee does their line items, they fill it out, and we fund it. It's really simple, guys. It's not up for us to put money aside. It's pension related. It's up to the pension committee to tell us that. And I got
Phil's right there. Phil, what's going on with the pension committee?
We have not discussed it with the new fire department.
There you are.
And it's a
So
management
it's 3
thing.
years old and
because-
no discussions have been made.
Guys, it would be guys, it would not be the only underfunded pension in Connecticut. We all know this.
Yeah, but we already know what happened to the town of Morris because the town of Morris's total overall pension was underfunded. That was brought to the attention of the townspeople at a town meeting, and if I'm correct, I could be wrong. And money was supposed to be allocated to be put aside every year to bring that back up.
I don't know how much though. My frustration with this is this all
20,000
true.
a year.
I don't know. I don't have a dollar amount. If somebody doesn't give me a piece of paper with a dollar amount, we cannot respond to it. So if
And
again,
I agree with that statement, Tracy.
I need it.
I just find it funny that everything is, nobody's ever figured anything out. Nobody discusses anything. I mean, these are things that should be discussed.
It's not our job to micromanage the town. It's our job to run the budget. If it's a budget.
I realize that, Chris. I realize that, but
It's a
I
budget.
mean, it's there. It's in black and white. It's part of our budget. We're discussing the pension. I mean, it's in the budget, and the pension committee should be discussing the budget. I mean, discussing how they're going to fund it.
There's a lot of frustrating things here, guys. Look at the library director's salary. Same thing. There's not much, and we're not. It's not our job to do it, and we're outside of our scope to do that.
And I'm just saying, right now, I'm reaching out and saying, if there's money that needs to be funded, get it to the Board of Finance. This is my edict. This is my cry. If it doesn't come to us, we can't guess at it. So I guess saying this.
So Rob, are you still on? You're still
I
there,
am. I
Rob.
was just gonna ask if I could chime in on this.
Thank you.
The Morris Fire Company has, over the last 2 years, has looked into different options. Now, we have not come to the pension committee with a proposal for a pension.
So in other words, it's something that you guys have to do.
There is no line item to fund. End of story. Let's move on.
Right.
Chris.
Can you tell I'm getting cranky?
Can you tell I'm getting cranky?
I hear you. It's 9 o'clock. We're debating. Not debatable. Any other public comment, not questions?
Yeah, I have another question. It's a simple one.
No questions, comments.
The operation fund that Nancy Skilton's talking about, is that the unassigned fund balance?
The unassigned fund balance would be considered part of the operating account. Absolutely.
Okay, that was my question. Now, in your capital plan, that was the one you talked about earlier. They're talking about putting money away for Engine 5. And I agree with that. We talked about it in the year 2016, 2017. Is this the first year this is located in the Morris budget?
If we put it there.
Okay, that was my question. No, someone didn't really speak truthfully about that last time I heard about it.
No, they did. Again, I explained capital non-recurring. You can put money away. The Board of Finance can keep a spreadsheet, and then as we go, allocate that money and the town votes on it. So
Yeah, no, I get that. No, we
there.
talked about it.
I don't know why. We've gone over it.
Yeah, and the same thing, the money for the transfer station wall, that is in your capital plan. That's the first time that's been brought up too, correct?
That's not the first time it's been brought up, certainly, but if we make it a line item, it kicks it into play. If we don't, it doesn't mean it's not talked about. We talked about it for 4 years.
Yeah, but there's no money set aside for it yet,
Goes
correct?
to the town versus the worksheets that the Board of Finance uses. Once we make a line item and fund it, it kicks that project into play. Doesn't mean the project is ignored if we don't make a line item and kick it into play. We can fund capital and bring these line items on each year, on each budget, puts it into action, the town votes on it. It doesn't mean we don't talk about anything else. It doesn't mean we don't talk about funding anything else.
Yeah, no, I've said it on more than one discussion. My last question is, who has access to this Board of Finance spreadsheet that you have in front of you?
Is there any comments? If there's no more comments, we're going to move forward. Comments
He
not.
asked a question. He asked a question. Is it answered?
We're not answering questions. This isn't a Q&A. This is public comment.
I get the same response from the Board of Selectmen, Christopher. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you for your comments. Christine, we need to address this in the meetings. Can you take this down word for word?
Okay.
Public
Go ahead.
comment. Public comment and is for comments on the budget. Questions directed to the Board of Finance will not be answered in public comment. We will
Hold
only
on,
be.
hold on. I don't do shorthand. Hold on.
I know. It's recorded. You can always read it, play it back tomorrow.
Okay, public comment is for comments on the budget, not for questions.
Not for questions. Any comment will be discussed at our meeting under the public comment section of our minutes. Questions will be directed to the fiscal office or first selectman's office. Put frankly, Joel, it's not our job to type you back a response to these questions. No one on this board's getting paid to do that. And you know full willingly that we don't have some of these questions, that you need to go to the fiscal office or the pension commission or the first selectman's office. And no one should have to run a fool's errand.
Christopher, in your review of last week's budget that you had proposed, there was a couple line items that existed and then they didn't exist. And then in the one that you proposed, there was 2 line items that were in there. And then when you brought it to your group, magically it had disappeared. So there was never any discussion on it. That was why I was wondering who had access to it. It's a simple question, Christopher.
This spreadsheet gets emailed to all members of the Board of Finance and the treasurer. And every week we open up the next budget that we go through, and we go through each one. All our material is posted online, as well as a draft of this budget updated weekly is also posted online.
I understand that, but when you posted it last week from last meeting, it was different than when it showed up on your agenda, and it was before anybody discussed it. It was just a magical email that got changed. There was no Board of Finance work that went into it. That's just my comment. Thank you.
Thanks for the comment.
Was there any other public comments?
I make a motion to adjourn.
There a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The board is adjourned.
All right.
Thank you.
Who made the motion?
Phil.
Bill and David.
Bill made
Thank
the
you.
motion, David seconded.
Oh, there's
I
Carrie.
second it.
Carrie?
I have scotch tape all over my thing and I couldn't understand why I didn't get on.
Well, there you are. You're in your bed. You got your hat on. Hi, Carrie.
Carrie.
I almost have some hair too.
Yay.
On the
Well,
top.
good. I'm going to come over and borrow your clipper so I can cut mine off.
All right,
All right.
guys.
And on the meeting.
Good night.
Night.
Hasta la vista.
Hasta la vista, baby.